Hello, Guardians, and welcome to Destiny Reset, episode 179. The show is about anything and everything related to the Destiny franchise. If you love playing Destiny 2 as much as we do, you're in the right place. This reset, we welcome AnonPig as we dive deep into the Black Armory lore, chat about the Niobe Labs and Berguzia Forge release, and discuss one of the biggest Destiny news stories to date with the Bungie and Activision partnership coming to an end. Hello, Guardians, and welcome. It's AER0KNIGHT and, of course, CyborgSasquatch. How's it going, man?
Hey, good afternoon, evening,
morning,
time,
night,
morning, whatever.
Not
this
quite
is.
morning yet.
Yep.
Almost. It will be soon. How's it going?
What's new? Well, you know, just another week in paradise.
Yes. I'm hoping I'm not sounding too nasally this week. It's been a week-long fight with a sinus infection. Currently on antibiotics, and I think I'm getting over it.
AKA full curse week.
Telling you, dude, it's been like, I did actually finally fit in some playtime, like in the last day or so, but it has been early sleep, wore out. I mean, sinus infections just wear you out. It's
yeah,
like,
you know, it's one of those weird weeks, and everybody's coming back to work and spreading their germs around.
Yep.
I was sick this week, too.
Telling you, go to work, family time, crash.
Weird hours. Yeah. Waking up at like 4:30 in the morning after sleeping for like 8 hours. I'm like, what do I do now? I guess I'll play Destiny until the kids wake up.
You can't pull like the multiple, like 3 to 5 hours of sleep nights when you're fighting a sinus infection. It's just it doesn't work.
Not at all. But, I guess it's a great time to introduce our special guests that we have here with us this week. Been a long time coming. Welcome, AnonPig. How you doing?
Welcome.
Good, and yourself?
Doing great, man. Glad to have you on. Been talking about having to have him on the show for quite a while, and here you are.
Yes, we met we were just talking before we started recording. What seems like a long time ago at good old DRE events. It was only, was it a year and a half ago?
Roughly? I guess, something like that.
Was it May?
Yeah. It seems like there's just been, we were talking, there's so much that has happened in the game since then. It seems like longer. It's crazy.
Guys, I just have to interrupt to announce that as we're doing the intro here, I was in the middle of a mission and I just got two-tailed fox to drop. And I'm
no way. You were just telling me all the dupes you've been getting.
Yep. It turned around.
That's
this
excellent.
My week.
Maybe I
this
can.
My week, guys.
If you guys haven't figured out, hopefully you don't ever hear any clickety clicks, but there's so much to do in the game now. Cyborg and I sometimes will find an activity that we can very easily grind while we talk about our favorite game, and we try not to mess with any other
Try not to do
too
much of this.
Exactly. And every now and then some nice loot drops here and there. So congratulations, man.
I couldn't just not say anything when that happened.
Maybe I'll get Le Monarque.
Good luck.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
But
we
back
totally
to
derailed.
AnonPig.
Welcome.
So you're kind enough to join us. You're in the East Coast, so it's late, even later for you. I guess we need to tell our audience a little bit about you if they're not familiar with who you are and what you do. That would be strange, but tell us about yourself a little bit.
I mean, I'm a lore guy. I've been talking, writing, reading, talking, arguing Destiny lore since like early December after the game launched, like the first couple weeks of December. And just like, I don't even know, like I feel so weird talking about it because this is like so much of my free time gets invested when I'm not playing Destiny, when I'm not spending time with my girlfriend, when I'm not doing something. I'm usually reading or rereading or thinking or proposing a theory to a friend and saying like, does this make sense? Or just like I'll have a random thought and I'll like go looking into it to see if it holds water. And
when you say the time frame you just said, of course, you mean when OG Destiny launched.
Yeah,
Just to give 'em-
2014.
yes, yeah,
so
that long.
I've been at it for what would that be, 4 years now? Christ.
That is crazy. So, guys, we did bring on somebody that is very knowledgeable. And we will be diving into some Black Armory lore this week. That is the plan. But
Absolutely.
here's the question though. Did you do this with other games, other franchises? Like what, if so, maybe let us know what the most other than Destiny, but what about Destiny? Like what brought you to Destiny? What about the game, the lore? What fascinates you with it?
What actually brought me to Destiny is kind of a funny story, because I was originally almost against Destiny, I guess. It just didn't interest me at all. Like I was like, that's not for me. I don't know what that is about. And when the beta was live, I went to GameStop to cancel a pre-order for a different game, and they asked me if I was enjoying Destiny, and I said, no, I'm not really too interested in playing that. And the employee yelled at me for not playing Destiny.
Like, hold on a second.
You won't, mate.
Too funny. Yeah. How exactly did that interaction pan out?
He was just like, I was like, oh no, I'm not playing the beta. I don't really have much interest in Destiny. He's like, what do you mean you're not playing Destiny? Do you not see how like good this game's gonna be? And I was like,
What a proper fanboy.
I'm not really following it. And like he's like, here, and he just like wrote down a beta code on a scrap of receipt paper, and he's like, go home and download this and play it. And I fell in love with the beta, and I was like, all right, well, I'm pretty hype about this game now.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Great job. We need to
that's fantastic.
you need to find and thank that
Yeah,
GameStop employee wherever they are, Maybe they're
It all
listening right now.
goes to that.
They
Yeah,
might
who
know.
knows? All because of that,
Random.
possibly because of that GameStop employee. We've been chatting in the Dirt Fan lore channel for the last few weeks. Who knows? Maybe.
I don't think I would have picked it up if it wasn't for that, because no one I knew was playing either. I was the one person that was freaking out about Destiny, while all my friends were like, I don't know, that game doesn't look good at all.
Wow.
Well, 4 years later, and I think the common thread that I find with lore guys and gals is typically a combination of obsession and a bit of the scholarly persuasion.
Yeah, obsession's a good term for it.
Yeah, and to be fair,
Healthy,
like,
of course.
most of us in this realm are a little bit obsessed with some aspect of Destiny, whether it's the gameplay or the story or just random rolls on shotguns. I don't know, everybody's got their own thing, but
Yeah, what are you talking about? I don't have games on my shelf with the wrapper still on them. Logging into
my
Destiny
gosh.
every night.
I got a story about that later, but yeah, so a good healthy obsession, this is what I tell my wife is like, I do this for fun. I could be at the bar, or I could be fishing every single weekend, and you wouldn't see me. At least
Golfing
this
for
way,
4
you see
hours
me at
on
night.
Sundays.
Yeah, you see me every day. How does your significant other feel about Destiny and AnonPig?
She played it when we first started going out. She like tried to play it, tried to get into it, and she liked it. I mean, she thought it was fun, but it's just not her style of game. She's more into the like MMO scene, like actual RPG. Whereas like Destiny's like too RPG light for her taste, and definitely not shooter.
So it's too casual for her, is what I'm hearing.
I mean, actually, kind of, yeah. She spent like
It's hardcore.
She's playing Maple Story. I don't know much about that game at all, but she's compared enchanting her weapon, which is like a way of upgrading, and she's like, I did it 75 times because it's like it's either gonna work or it won't. And she's like showed me like everyone else in the area, and they have like 5 enchants, and she's got like 70 something enchants. I'm like, oh my god, you're just as bad as me.
Yeah, it's pretty hardcore.
Wow.
That's awesome. Well, what got you into content creation? You brought up how you enjoy the lore and everything, but I guess what is it that led you to want to share that with people and get with other nerds and talk about it?
Well, when I first got into lore, it was because of the Bungie Net forums. Someone made a lore post, and a bunch of people commented on it saying make a lore clan, and I like really was active about joining, making the clan with the guy. And one of my now best friends, Guardian, he joined the clan. We would talk and play all the time, and just like one day, like before like anything really took off in either of our kind of content creation fields, I was just like, we should just do like this, like just like live stream us play and like just talk about lore and stuff. And we did like 2 or 3 episodes of that, and we were just like, this was a mistake, and we just kind of shelved the topic. And then I've just like always had that like, but I do want to do that, like in the back of my head. And like every so often, like Handsome Dragon invited me to join Destiny Lorecast. I think it had been like 2 years ago now, and I joined with them, and we did a show for about a year, and then we kind of slowed down. Scheduling became a big issue, and then so like I broke off, and I got some of my other friends, and we began Loose Cannon.
Very nice. What's Loose Cannon exactly?
Loose Cannon's just, you know, with Destiny Lorecast, it was very scripted, very a real lot of work going in, like gathering all the information, and it just kind of wore me out to like make show notes for like every episode every week. Loose Cannon, on the other hand, it's just myself, Guardian, Baxter, who created the Ishtar Collective .net, and Rhino, who does a lot of like real world relation connecting to the items in the game, like the guns, like how they get their names and stuff.
Okay.
So we just kind of get together, we pick a topic, and we talk about it. Like we'll like discuss it beforehand, and we'll like get some bullet points ready. But like generally, it's just a free kind of like radio chat, just about the lore.
Just kind of spitballing and chatting about it, as opposed to like a scholarly prepared discussion.
Mm-hmm. Like, well, I mean, I'd like to think that it's still scholarly, sure. But we like the original kind of pitch between me and Baxter was that it would kind of be Troy and Abed in the morning from Community, where it's just like just kind of fun, breezy, but still like good, I guess, you know, like still like we'd have theories, we'd have discussions, we'd have arguments, and it'd kind of be more about that than just rereading a Grimoire card or a lore book or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It'd be focused on the discussion.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about the lore is you can talk about anything at any time. Of course, you can time it with certain releases and things like that. But for example, you can right now go back and revisit conversations about The Last Word and Thorn and all that stuff, you know, with what we're getting later this month, you know? So yeah, the lore is a fantastic content creation avenue for sure.
I think it's funny.
I'm always listening to it. Yeah,
just how much traction that one story has gotten in Destiny lore and community, like, and how much it's still debated and talked about, especially since like a lot of questions and just general interest is being placed on the rogue Lightbearer kind of phenomena and the dredgens and everything they're trying to bring into that. Like, so everybody, so I think he's this person and I think this person's alive, and just all that stuff is, it's interesting that it's still being talked about even after the story was somewhat finished, like not totally wrapped up, but it had a beginning and an end, right? You would think.
Yeah. The what most people kind of like refer to it as is the Dwindler's Ridge saga, which is kind of the closed bubble of Jaren Ward, Shin Malphur, and Reza Lazir / Dredgen Yor.
Yeah.
But it kind of gets an epilogue and even a sequel with the Shadows of Yor.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're heading now with Drifter's whole MO and how now people are taking the title of Dredgen even though they're not a Shadow of Yore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of just rebuilding up what was tried to be squashed out.
Yeah.
This is what we talked about last week. There's just so much lore and depth going on behind the scenes that it's so worth. The game is still a blast and fun if you never dive into it, but if you do, it's wow. It's
gives a lot of depth.
Yeah, so much. I mean, all the way down to like you acknowledging the title that you can get. You know, it's just it's crazy how much they intertwine all of it. It's fantastic. So
yeah,
very cool.
Well, let's do a quick derp lightning round real quick, and then we can talk about some of the biggest news I think we could ever talk about this year.
I think it's because we said so many times last week that there wasn't a lot of news.
Yeah, right. Little do
the
we
biggest
know.
news ever this week.
All right, so I'll hit you up first. What is your favorite class right now in Destiny?
Hasn't always been Hunter.
All right. Big Hunter on the show.
Listeners and the Derp fam like when we bring on the hunters. So
yeah.
Hunter's the best.
Oh, yeah. Listen to
for
them.
the next couple weeks.
Yeah, for the next couple weeks. All right, then. We got the favorite class. What about favorite weapon? You can say one from D1 and one from D2 if you'd like, but not necessary.
I guess the one I'm like most like happy whenever I switch back to it would be the curated role on Nation of the Beasts with the Dragonfly spec.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
so
basically just saying Fatebringer.
Yeah.
So
D2 Fatebringer, please.
Yep.
Okay, next up, what is your favorite character in Destiny? I bet you that's a contentious one for you.
I probably like my biggest favorite would have to be Gelion, the Iron Lord. In D1, The Rise of Iron, we kind of got like backstories on each of the Iron Lords, or the original 9 Iron Lords, and his was just like morbid and weird, and he was like such a survivalist. He just like really was just like attracted to his character to the extent that I actually have a prop hunter knife that Rhino from Loose Cannon made for me.
Oh wow!
And I requested. I was asking him. I was like, "Do you think you can like make like a bone look to it? Like make it look like it's made of bone?" And he did a fantastic job with it. And I've named it after one of Gelion's knives, Quietus. And my headcanon for it is that it's actually a Hamkara bone, and it whispers.
That's super cool.
Nice.
You have to share a picture of that with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we allotted you a little bit more time on that question than we have other guests. Not that they're not lore aficionados, but we figured you might have a pretty specific one there.
Yeah.
All right, with that, any other favorite games right now other than Destiny?
Shovel Knight.
Okay.
Nice.
Very nice.
It's a great game.
Yeah, that's a fun one. What are your favorite potato chips?
Not a big fan of potato chips, but I guess barbecue.
Okay.
Barbecue. That works. I gotta ask, name brand or generic?
I mean, I don't think I've ever had generic.
Okay. All I eat's generic now. I think I've eaten too many barbecue chips. I got my son on the generics as well. Well, actually, I gotta ask, if chips isn't really your thing, what do you snack on? Cheez-Its?
No, I'm the worst. Like, I like completely bypass chips, and I'm just like brownies and cookies.
Hey,
and
that works.
Ice cream, and I gotta not do that. I try to have like just like pepperoni slices. You know, you like microwave them, dip them in cream cheese.
Oh my goodness, that's
pepperoni and cream cheese. That's a new one.
Interesting. Yeah, I gotta say, don't worry about the cookie front. I usually every night after whatever play session or recording before I crash, I usually grab a glass of milk and some sort of cookies we usually have in the cabinet. So,
I got it. It's a staple.
Oh yes.
I like sweet plus salty stuff. You know.
Yeah.
Anything sweet plus salty is awesome.
I'm picky with that. I like some, but other things like I just can't even mess with it. Yeah, always good in snack area. Okay, all right. Cyborg got the chips one. He usually takes this one. We gotta ask, does pineapple belong on pizza, Anon?
I live in Connecticut, which is one of the pizza snob states.
Oh, really?
Like, we are very, like, or at the very least, I am very dedicated whenever I move, and I move a lot, to find a good pizza place. And I will, like, go through, like, 7 pizza places before I find it. So, no, it does not.
All right. I was wondering where he was going.
It is, I mean, it's just, it's fruit on your pizza.
People love it or they don't. I feel like it's been a while since we've had a no on Cyborg. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, we've had a string of yeses, and I was
yeses
starting to get
or
worried
I
about
don't
the
care.
world.
Happy to set it straight.
Yeah.
There
A
you
little
go.
too much acceptance and not enough polarization, you know. Just you gotta commit. You just gotta choose which side you're on. There's no middle ground in this war against pineapples on pizza.
Well, congratulations, Anon. You are still in the DRP recording channel, and we're gonna move on.
All right. Well, now that people know a little bit more about you, we're gonna talk about a lot of Destiny stuff. Man, what a week this has been. I feel like I've been on a roller coaster. Do we have any announcements before we start this part
I
of the
don't
show?
think so. We announced our winners last week, and you guys have gotten your reward. Just be on the lookout for more giveaways, I guess, you know? Keep being
I'm
awesome
sure
to
we'll
each
have
other.
something in the next week or so.
Yes.
All right, cool. Okay, well, now it's time for the news, and boy, this is the juiciest news, I think, that we've seen probably since the announcement of Destiny 2, don't you think?
Yes. This is like gaming industry, just levels of craziness news, right?
Yep.
This is just crazy.
And what's crazy about it is nobody saw it coming. At least unless you were on the board at Bungie or Activision. But in this week's news, Bungie and Activision both announced that they are parting ways, and effective immediately, they're beginning a transition period to allow Bungie to self-publish Destiny from here forward. Activision will no longer serve as their publisher. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know where to begin with this. It was
I had
so left field.
News, yeah, when this news broke, it was like I was in meetings like 70%.
Yeah, I was in a meeting
day.
and my phone just starts going nuts.
Dude, I learned from your announcement in our Discord. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
what is Cyborg? What's the announcement of Cyborg right now? I went and looked and I'm like, what? No way. This is crazy. And yeah, of course, like nothing but speculation and this or that has happened since. There's been all kinds of tweets from people intertwined in this, you know, whether they work at Bungie or they work at Activision or Vicarious, you know, all the different studios that are helping them right now. And
Yep.
you know, we've gotten some insight from that kind of stuff. We even have tweets and responses to it, from Sony and Phil Spencer. And it's like, where do we start with this? You know, we don't want to like crazy speculate, but, you know, there's the classic, I guess a classic place to start is if, you know, is this good, bad, indifferent? Like, what do you guys think?
Yeah. I think it's a win for Bungie.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I thought it was a win for Activision until their stock price tanked about 10%.
Yeah.
I think it's a great move by Bungie. I think it's what they probably wanted internally from what I've heard, from what's been reported and from comments people have made. But I think it's the beginning of a new adventure for them to take on a responsibility like that. But it could be a great thing for the game.
Right.
Now for Activision, Lord only knows what's going on over there.
Well, and that's the thing, you know, I heard different angles, I guess, that people were looking at this. And I guess you can really try to read between the lines. But, you know, I heard some people, you know, giving their thoughts on it, saying, you know, even my initial thought was like, okay, Bungie must have went in and fought for their IP and just kind of wanted to break loose. And then I heard some other perspectives are like Activision's just letting go of the Destiny rights. They don't want anything to do with it at this point. And it's like, we don't know, but right.
They had a 10-year plan and they've only made it to the 8-year mark.
Right.
So like at the very least, Bungie had to buy out the last 2 years of foreseen profits.
And that makes you,
and we'll find out probably the details of that in about a month at their next earnings call. They'll have to disclose what that deal was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that they had to make some transactions. It wasn't just go forth, have fun, like
not quite the way business works.
No. What are you thinking, Anon? What are some of your initial thoughts when you heard about this?
I think it's crazy because basically everyone I've been listening to has been saying, I think in like another year or two, Activision's just going to buy the IP from Bungie. And here they are flipping it on its head. Like,
well, there was that speculation when that whole NetEase stuff happened, and this other IP they might be working on. Like, are they going to lose rights to Destiny and move on to something else? Yeah.
They were so upfront. They're like, guys, we are not leaving Destiny. This is a side project. We are a multi-game studio now. Don't worry. Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, oh no, they're getting ready to jump ship on Destiny.
Right.
It's like, just listen to them.
And it is such a crazy thing. I definitely think, it's like, I can see where people are just like, this is cool. This is awesome. Let's move forward. It seems like good news. It's not that Activision, whatever you want to say about Activision, the classic thing is, Bungie's making decisions about Destiny 2, but what we have seen from Bungie is, since before Forsaken, I mean, it was last November, not this past November, over a year ago November, that they told us communication would change and, they're all in again. Like I always say, not that they were before, they were just going to double down on it and be more transparent and stuff. And they have been. And I think when something, when this happened, it was just a rumbling in the entire community, just like a roar of excitement, because it's like we've all been in this community for so long. We feel like we're a part of the Bungie team, and it's like we have our game 100%. This is fantastic. And it's like, of course, Bungie has made some missteps, and they may and possibly could make some more missteps and stuff like that. But what they've proven is they're listening to us and how we would like to see the game, continue. And they're using their skills and knowledge to do that in the way that they want to as well. And I don't know, man, it seemed like throughout the Destiny community, it felt cool. It felt awesome, the time will tell how things change and what happens, but people, it's so crazy. It's fun to see though, like all the speculation, like this is where I think Destiny will go now, where Bungie will take Destiny. We'll see more RPG elements. We'll see more this or that. And it's like baby steps.
Well, that's actually probably like the most, like plausible thing that's gonna change, because like I was actually just rereading Blood, Sweat, and Pixels by Jason Schreier, the Shovel Knight chapter, where he says like when you don't have a publisher coming in over your shoulder, you don't have someone saying maybe your hero would look better without his helmet on, like just like small creative things like that, where someone might have said maybe this would be more fun if instead of choose your own path, we just had a cluster of perks. So it's instead of D1, we got the D2 version. Like that could have been just Activision walking through and saying, simplify that a little bit.
Right. Well, the thing is, Bungie knows their game. They know their community. And again, it's not that the community's always right. They've got to make decisions on, depending on our feedback. And sometimes our feedback maybe is not the best, and they work with that. And it just seems like a cool thing. They're independent game studio now. We're all excited because this is our favorite game. Of course, there were some fantastic companies working on the game right now. I mean, the stuff Vicarious Visions did, which they're owned by Activision, correct? I mean,
Warmind and the Dreaming City.
Yeah, they've done some fascinating stuff. So a lot of teams there that have worked on the game. But it just seems, it's good, call it good news. It just seems, it seems cool. You know, it's like Bungie has their baby now, and they're going to roll with it and keep building and growing this community that we're all a part of. So it seems cool. Cyborg, you got, I'm sure, some more thoughts on this, man.
Yeah, I think, you know, from the business side of things, I'm sure they've been working on this for a while, probably years, but, you know, in the past year, I'm sure there's been a lot of maneuvering and negotiating and stuff going on to make this happen. And the biggest question is, like, what's going on in Activision, because they've had several CFOs leave. They've had the head of Blizzard left back in April. Now they're letting go one of their major IPs they're publishing, and they don't have a lot of first-party stuff coming out this year. They've already predicted they're going to have a pretty light year, and I'm starting to realize now probably some of those moves that were made were in anticipation of this happening, and what some of those people at Activision thought was going to happen because of this move. But just reading a lot of discussion and articles on this split and on Activision this week, it really seems like Activision either has no long-term strategy right now, or their strategy is going to be mobile, and people don't have a lot of faith in that if that's the case. But either way, not really our concern anymore. They're,
wish them well.
There's going to be some transition. I think the unfortunate part of it is, already there's reports of people at Activision and even at Bungie losing their jobs.
That's the thing. Yeah. You hope that's minimal, and you're thinking about those individuals, right?
Right. But on the bright side, Bungie as a publisher is going to have to grow, and they're going to have to build their own team to do a lot of the things that Activision does. I mean, as Activision has some very strong relationships in terms of publishing, and especially in marketing. All the stuff that we saw, especially ahead of D2. If you want a real taste of, what all their chips in one basket looks like go look at the marketing push ahead of Destiny 2's launch. It was immense. It's like, if you're a Destiny fan, you're just blown away by Destiny was just everywhere. You couldn't turn a corner without seeing an advertisement or some crazy marketing tool that they were using. And they were really good at that. And now Bungie is going to have to do that and do those things themselves and forge those partnerships with all the retailers and different ways that they have to sell the game and marketing it and interfacing with the media. And, there's a lot of those things that will overlap in a way, but it's a little bit of a different ball game to self-publish. But I've talked about it on Splash Damage quite a bit over the past year, but I really think that creatively and the best thing financially for many studios is going to find the ability to self-publish, because the studio plus publisher model is really starting to bust at the seams, and you see a lot of contention in those relationships, a lot of creative disparity that happens that becomes really obvious. And so I think this is the right move for Bungie long term, as not just in terms of Destiny, but for the future of that studio, over decades. Like, this will make them a stronger company, and they could definitely grow to be the size of a company like Bethesda, that has a lot of push and pull in the industry. And I know they're a little bit under the spotlight right now, but they still have, a pretty good have a lot of strong relationships in the business, and they have a lot of respect and put out a lot of products, and they're certainly very profitable. And that's ultimately what the video game industry is about. Is it's a business. So,
but that was the other thing about this too, is it was just everywhere. You know, it's like everybody was talking about it. Very knowledgeable people in the industry were talking about it. Had feeds on it, and you know, it is. I'm sure it was a challenging decision. I can imagine all the meetings and conversations that happened before even the actual business meetings happened, you know, like actually deciding if this was a decision that this is something they wanted to do. I mean, like you were talking about with a publisher like Activision. I mean, the gaming industry is changing, you know, everything, you know, coming with digital and stuff like that. We're not quite there, but I mean, it all goes down to even the small things, which are large things, like getting actual physical games on shelves and stuff like that, you know. So it's crazy how much is involved in something like this.
I think the important thing, though, is that with Bungie self-publishing, that means they take home a much bigger piece of the pie of the money that you actually give when you buy the product. And what that means for Destiny and what that means for Bungie is that it doesn't place as much stress on the company to provide a game that sells, you know, 10 million copies. It can be profitable, and even more profitable for them with the user base they have, or even smaller, because they're taking a much bigger cut. And so that will allow them creatively to do things that are riskier, maybe to do things that are for a narrower part of the user base that skews a certain way. You know, maybe they like more RPG or more hobbyists or even more PvP bent players. They're going to be able to lean into those, as opposed to the experiment they tried with D2, which was try to make it for a broader audience to sell more copies. You know, I think part of that was they wanted more people to play the game, of course, but they also needed to sell more software. And that was surely from pressure from their publisher, because publisher wants a better return on their investment. Well, they don't have to worry about that anymore. They of course need a good return on the investment for what they make, but there's less fingers in the pie, right?
Yeah.
And so,
well, I mean, dude, a good example is when we were all feeling great about Forsaken and where the game was going, and you know, and then you get the call and the articles about Activision. Saying
unhappy.
Forsaken underperformed, right?
When it was their best
tweeting, it
was their best selling expansion ever,
right?
They had 4 million active users when Forsaken launched, and they were like, "Yeah, we're not quite too pleased with that."
It's like there's the disconnect, correct? And you know, it's all, that's the business side of things. But you know, getting to the actual game side of things. Now, we did see tweeted out. They said that the Destiny 2 and the Blizzard launcher, they released a statement, Blizzard did, right, that said it would not be affected by this. Do they mean like as of right launcher now, or
my guess is that as part of the agreement they have, that whatever sales of like Destiny 2 proper will probably still go to Activision within their original agreement. That's my guess, and that's probably why it's easy for them to keep that product in the launcher, and likely whatever they have that comes next moving forward probably won't be available there. Or, you know, this could mean that we see a titled sequel sooner than we think.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're gonna need that split. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah. That's gonna be kind of a confusing one, how they're gonna sort that out.
Yeah. But it's gonna be exciting to see all this pan out. You know, of course, immediately a lot of the responses were asking for cross save and all that. Like, we already have been, but it's like, all right, cool. You completely own your game now. Let's do this thing. It's I think I'm on board too, right?
The biggest thing that needs to be said is, you know, this is what's been driving me crazy, and like kind of also cracking me up this week is as soon as this was announced, everybody's like, all right, here's my top 3 wish list for Destiny now that they're free of Activision. And it's a little bit naive, but it's also a little bit optimistic, right? Some of the
excitement
things,
too.
Like
Eververse gone.
Yeah, Eververse gone. That's not going to happen.
No, it's not.
Bungie introduced Eververse, okay? Not Activision. Dedicated servers. If you think now that they have less money that they're going to get dedicated servers, you're out of your gourd. Dedicated servers are prohibitively expensive and would require them to completely redesign the network backbone of the entire game. It's not going to happen. So I
did wonder about their game engine, too, like with this, it's not, you don't want to say less funding, but their shift in funds, however they're doing it.
They
with
have
their
to
new
self-fund
partnership
everything. They're not going to be spending millions and millions of dollars to change core parts of this game. They're not going to be able to take that kind of risk when they're going on this leap of faith into publishing their game. Now, what some things that I think could be in the cards, but are still questionable. The first thing I brought up was maybe we could see the end of the exclusive agreements, but that comes down to whether that was something instigated and negotiated by Activision or by Bungie. I think it was part of an Activision deal because you saw similar deals transpire in their other properties around the same time. So when we saw Destiny release, it was right around the same time that all the Call of Duty exclusives went from Xbox to PlayStation. I think it was a publisher-wide deal. And so it may take time for that deal to run out. It may be locked up with Activision. They may be free of it. And then somebody tweeted and replied like, hey, you know what? They may need that money now even more than ever. So it may not end. It may continue. But my hope would be that we see those things end. And I think that could at least open the door to the future of maybe like cross saving, at least the availability of those things there without them having to worry about what one of the major console makers, like regrets.
At the very
be.
least, it would have to extend for the year, right? Like it can't be. It would have to be the next title.
Sure,
like past Forsaken.
Yeah, I'm sure they have to serve out whatever they have. Assuming that the exclusivity on the stuff with Forsaken had to run out for another year or whatever. But who knows? I think those things could be in the cards like long term. But I think there's definitely some pie in the sky stuff. I mean, I literally, I was like in a party with just like random people, that I met, some Derp fam and some not, the other day when this happened, and somebody in the party goes, so cross save is confirmed? I'm like, oh my gosh, like pump the brakes. Like this just happened. And wow, no, like,
yeah.
So, but I think it's great that, it gives everybody some optimistic, feelings about the future of the game. I mean, it does kind of open the doors a little bit again to what Bungie can do in some ways.
Before, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, and actually, we kind of wanted to ask, do you have any final thoughts on this before we move on to the top?
Because I'm just wondering your thoughts. Like, who do you think handles all the merch being pushed out? Like the pop figures, the vinyl ghost shells, the Big Shot Toy Works figures. They have,
that stuff is everywhere now.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Was that an Activision handled product, or was that Bungie like making connections? Like, is this going to come to like a standstill or?
Right. I think it's actually a combination. So I know that they do have a department at Bungie that handles that sort of things, and they have at least like beyond just the Bungie store, like they have people that are in merchandising specifically. And I would imagine that Activision very likely encouraged a lot of the wave of merchandise that we saw that really arrived with Destiny 2. And I'm sure that a lot of those connections in that industry were stimulated by Activision, and, you know, because Activision as a publisher have a lot of connections to people that do that sort of thing, right? So that's a great question, and I'm hoping that they kind of pass on a lot of those relationships and they can continue some of that stuff.
I have a shelf full of just Destiny. So
I've had to buy bigger shelves.
And one question I've had for a while is, as a publisher, where do the merchandising rights lie? Right? Because we know that the stuff in the Bungie store is Bungie, but all the stuff that you see in the shelves at GameStop and Target and everywhere else that you can order online, I've been wondering for a while, like, did Activision get a cut of that? And maybe that's why they stimulated a lot of that stuff.
There's so many Mega Blocks now, dude. Like, I can't even keep up with them.
There's Mega Blocks, there's journals. Like, there's so many journals. Like, you go to one GameStop, they have, like, nothing. You go to another GameStop, they have, like, 4 different types of journals. They're just different covers.
There's all kinds of stuff.
Blank pages.
Puzzles, and you name it.
Yeah. I've got a bunch of puzzles.
Yeah. So we'll see, I guess. I mean, that's, like, to the point that there's so many moving parts of things that likely the publisher did or facilitated that Bungie will have to take on, and maybe they had a part of that, but they have to take on more of it. You know, it's hard to know precisely because we don't work at either of those places, and we don't know that industry that well, but it's interesting to think about, and I think it's going to be quite an adventure for Bungie to take on moving forward.
Maybe they'll get their pops out a little faster than like 6 months after the character is relevant.
Yeah, I've been wondering for a while, like, how is it that Overwatch, like, have figures that come out the day that the character releases, but then we just got Anna Bray's figurine, you know?
I just picked that up today, actually. Anna Bray, Nocris, and the Thrall.
Yeah. Did you see there's actually an Uldren
I know
figure.
I didn't see that announced anywhere.
Yeah, they said on Twitter, the Big Shot Toy Works account said that there was some kind of mix up, and they did make them, but they're not all listed on the GameStop site, and I don't know if they're in all the stores yet, but I'm gonna have to hunt for one.
What it's probably gonna be is a loot crate then, because there was a Cade with Ace of Spades and Osiris from Big Shot Toy Works that were in loot boxes.
Right.
Or loot crates, not loot boxes.
Yeah. They were in loot crates. But somebody on Twitter I saw had one that, they picked one up.
That was, Kevin?
Yeah.
Kevin or Brian?
Somebody.
Brian, I think.
I was going to say, kind of just to wrap up, you know, I think if nothing else, as a community of Guardians, you know, obviously this is our favorite game and we extremely enjoy it, and you know, we have respect for Bungie and know they have respect for us. It's just kind of cool, right? That they own this game. It's their game 100%. It's our game. You know, they titled it Our Destiny, that article, and you know, it's cool, man. Like, how many times I mentioned SOCOM on this show, and I mentioned that game because it was a game that my friends and I played for years, and we still talk about stories about playing that game to this day. And that is, we've said this before on the show, Cyborg, like, we are experiencing that right now. You know, I hope we're playing Destiny for many, many years to come, but maybe one day it will be SOCOM, like SOCOM is to me for many people, and you'll be talking about all those stories, those times you had with your friends, right? And this is just exciting times. Just keep moving forward, chugging along.
Yep.
So it's exciting.
Where were you when Bungie went indie?
Yeah, everyone's calling it their Independence Day, January 10th. That's funny, man.
Oh, that's great.
Well,
that is great.
Now that we've got the biggest news out of the way, let's talk about the TWAB that's finally returned. It came back a day late, but I can forgive them for that this week.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff going on this week that pushed the top TWAB back a day. So this week at Bungie, the 4th Forge was unlocked, but not in the way that they intended. Mm-hmm. So they mentioned in the TWAB, sometimes at Bungie, we try new things. On many occasions in the past, we've enjoyed watching as the community work together to solve puzzles. That was the idea behind Niobe Labs. So they go on to explain they're flexible enough to change the plan when the labs was not able to be solved. Come to find out, there was a piece of the puzzle that was removed. I guess a clue. I think the way that worded it was a string was removed.
Yeah, they said there was a dialogue line that wasn't actually in the puzzle itself.
Was there an emblem flipped or something, or was that just kind of a generic thing that I saw? That
I think it was just a piece of information that would be a clue.
Okay. So it legitimately,
it was like a poem.
The community wasn't, I was trying to catch up on this. Obviously, I knew the main points of it, but it wasn't being completed because of this. And that's the main reason why Bungie
the thing about it is, like, I was talking to a few people who were, like, going for it. And even before Bungie announced that, they were already, like, thinking what the actual answer was. They were like, it's got to be this. But there were, like, little things that seemed to be finicky, where it was like, if you don't do it just right, then it won't count it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what was stopping them.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, and this was another topic this week, it was before the big news break we just talked about for a while. But, the community was mixed on this. There's all kinds of thoughts on this. The Bungie team, Cosmo and DMG, they've been on the, Reddit forums and stuff, taking feedback to the team about, putting things like the forges behind these puzzles. Obviously their intentions are good with this. Just unfortunate, if the community isn't able to crack it in what seems like a reasonable amount of time, you don't want to lock the majority of the community to not be able to access new content. But at the same time, you still want these challenging things. I think even some of the feedback that they've acknowledged and taken is that maybe this particular encounter seemed a little less Destiny than some prior, I guess. I don't know if that's personal opinion as well, of course, like anything else. But I don't know. What do you guys think about them opening it up? It's kind of like, I have so much to do in this game right now. I wasn't even getting to the forge. Not to mention I was fighting my sinus infection. But even if I wasn't doing that, I probably still would have been grinding the hand cannon at the other forge, go fanning. My to-do list is like, it took me, I think, a week and a half to get Go Fannin unlocked. Like I didn't start it for, many days after it launched. But, everybody plays different. Some people want to jump right into the forges. So I don't want to, minimize that at all. So I don't know. What do you guys think about these, like Niobe Labs kind of blocking entrance to a new activity, if you will?
I think, I don't know. It was an interesting way to do it. There's definitely different ways that they could have delivered the content. I get what they were trying to do, because completing the Niobe Labs activity kind of would logically lead to the next step of the forge being unlocked. Like, in terms of the pseudo story that they're trying to tell, like, I get why it was that way. I just think it's unfortunate that they left something out of the puzzle. I think it would have gotten done had they not. Mm-hmm. Like, it seems like the community was able to get together and do it. I'm starting to get really turned off by these activities that are extremely difficult and hyper-focused on a very, very, very small portion of the community participating in them, and being almost forced to pseudo just observe and not be able to take part in it. Now, I get the aspect of this activity definitely required a lot of very smart people coming together just to decipher things, and have no qualms with letting smart people do those things. And I think if I had the time to commit my brain power to that, then I would. But just kind of this path that they've been taking with, putting these things out on time frames that I can't participate in, and really like pointing a lot of attention towards streamers and people that are almost like forced into a position where they've got everybody looking at them to do it, because until they do, nobody else can do anything, right? So, you have this few dozen people or so that have to finish this raid or open up this lab, and until they do, nobody can play the activity. And is that healthy for those people? Like, do they even want that? Some of these guys and gals were up for dozens of hours trying to bang their head against the wall and figure this out. That's really stressful. And I didn't even want to watch that. Like, it didn't even sound fun or interesting to watch. So then they're making content that's not even very engaging for people. Like, it turned into a big, like, I don't know, like they just had a lot of people screaming at them essentially in their chat, like, do this, try this. How come you haven't figured it out? I'm going to go watch Dado now instead. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like their intention is like they want something cool for the community to like rally around and be interested in. And I think that them trying for that is backfiring, I think that them wanting that is working against them.
Yeah. And the other thing about this one too, I was kind of in and out of watching it, and just kind of back and forth. And you had to start, if there was a checkpoint or something, I think maybe it would have been a little bit more engaging for the player and the watcher. But this particular one, of course, the intentions were good. Like, they wanted to make it challenging, but it just, the way that it panned out, I think it was just interesting from both aspects, like you said. I don't know. Before we move on, Anon, you got thoughts on this in particular, this topic?
Yeah. I actually really like the idea of players having direct impact on the game like that. Like, the Dreaming City did that with the raid. The Scourge of the Past did that with the raid too. The raid unlocked. I'm not sure if it actually unlocked GoFanon or not. I know, like, there are people that were like saying it did and saying it didn't, but like after the raid was beat, a message came up on the screen saying like you can go get the Black Armory papers now. So at the very least, it triggered the lore to start dropping, and it was just such a low drop rate that no one even knew. Yeah. But I don't think the issue was so much with Niobe's Torment as it was, well, I guess the issues is more directly with Niobe's Torment. Specifically, like you said, if there was a checkpoint, I don't think people would mind as much. Like, even if it was just like halfway through, like you get to level 5, you got a checkpoint, and you just got to do 5, 6, 7. Instead of the 20-ish minutes it would take to get to level 7 just to fail. You spend 10 minutes, not even to get to level 7, and then 10 minutes again. It makes it easier. But I also really gonna disagree with anyone that would say it doesn't feel like Destiny. I mean, like, that's their opinion. They're welcome to how they feel, but like, I remember back in Taken King when people were like, Sleeper Simulant is a thing. It's in the game, and to get it, you got to take Pocket Infinity and shoot this monitor in this Warmind bunker, and it will trigger a quest. Like, this Niobe's Torment is like arguably one of the most Destiny things that's ever been in Destiny, in my opinion. It's exactly what all the like secret hunters immediately jump to when they think there's a secret. It's like you got to shoot stuff. It's like it's the first time it's ever been done, and I'm in love with the idea of it. I just don't think it was implemented as well as it should have been.
Yeah, I think I agree. The checkpoints could have went a long way. I did like this stuff with the raid in the Dreaming City. If they would have busted it open and solved the mystery in half a day, and the doors opened up and everybody was watching that on stream, and they knew when they got home the Forge was ready to go, they could try Niobe Labs if they wanted to with their fire team. Like, it could have panned out totally differently.
It would have, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Sometimes things just don't pan out quite the way they envisioned them, and they reacted and they felt like that was the best decision. And whether you wanted them to do that or not, that's how this particular thing panned out. And I hope they continue to build on it and figure out a way to accomplish all of these different things that the community wants.
I agree with Anon in that the activity is definitely like some of Destiny at its finest, right? Like, that's the kind of like really interesting, mysterious content you want to see. But I wonder if they would have been better served, like, if we never knew there was another Forge, and we never knew that there was Niobe Labs. It was just something that unlocked and people found it. And then the hunt begins, and then everybody's just kind of waiting to see, well, what comes out of it. And when the Forge finally unlocked, people are like, holy crap, there's something everybody can go do. And now we can get, Yotun, and that's what we've been waiting on. And I think I don't know. There's so many different ways that we can speculate of, oh, this would have been better, that would have been better. I think hopefully they'll just learn from that experience and how it went. And
right, it does stink. I did think about like the team that worked on it, and was it Vicarious that worked on this?
Yeah, apparently VV did the puzzle.
Yeah, and I think I saw a picture of them like watching like when it launched, and it's like I had to think about the team. They were, I'm sure, just pumped for everyone to try it. They knew Destiny community loved a challenge, and it kind of panned out this way.
How bad do you got to feel to know, oh my gosh, we didn't put something in the puzzle, and they're just watching people try to figure it out for hours and hours, with no way to do it. Like, that had to feel bad.
It stinks.
I feel bad for them.
It stinks.
Oh man.
I just hope that most of all that like the main takeaway with this isn't to not do hard puzzle things like this.
Yeah.
But maybe just to separate the hard puzzle things like this, kind of like you said, like make it so you get these weapons, and in this secret corner over here, if you bring those weapons and look at the walls, there's all these glyphs. So like that's like the first clue. Yeah. It's like, okay, but what is this? And then go from there. And like it can literally just be an emblem and a ghost, or an emblem and a this, and then whatever, and that's all it is. It's just for the secret hunters. Like, you can have that in the game, the community will eat that up.
Oh yeah. Yep.
But locking the items wasn't the best move.
Well, the other aspect of it, which we'll get into here in Reset when we start letting you chat about lore, is I was excited just to go to Niobe Labs. Like, after reading the papers and stuff, like I wanted to see
there was a mystery there, right? About Forge, what is it? What is Niobe Labs? What's there?
Yep. We'll talk about that.
But so getting back, I guess, to the news, they finally did unlock the Forge. What day was it? I guess it was it Wednesday or Thursday? I don't even remember now. This week's kind of...
It was the day after at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, yeah. My week's kind of running together.
So like 29 hours.
Yeah. So they did unlock it for the community to play, and as of, I guess, what is it? Last night, which was that Thursday, when they provided a hint, I guess it provided that missing piece of information. It was solved. I think Glad, it hasn't been confirmed yet by Bungie. I think DimG said that they're going to go back and confirm World's First for that, but I think the consensus is Glad, at least publicly, got the first solve on it with the help of the raid secrets and Twitch community. So great job to them on solving that. I'm looking forward to trying to go check it out. No, Anon, you said that that you were working on trying to work through it today and didn't quite get there. It seems pretty tough.
It is. Yeah. It's like even knowing the puzzles it's like
It's not easy.
you're gonna need a couple runs because you need to be quick. It's not just the puzzle. There you go. It's like you need to shoot this. You need to shoot this. You need to shoot this. A lot of communication, developing the strategy, going with proper weapon loadouts. Because each wave has a boss, and you gotta like fight the boss. And the puzzle sequence can start while the boss is still up.
Oh man,
that's not fun.
That's tough. That's tough. Well, what an interesting experience this week. Next up in the TWAB, we got a preview from Dan G about an upcoming update 2.1.4, and we're going to see some changes to the sandbox. It's designer Dan Giniadi? I don't know. This is a new one. Gniady. Forgive us, Dan. We don't know how to say your name. I see why you go by Dan G. But there's some really in-depth notes on changes to supers across the board. But now it's not every single super, but a lot of supers that a lot of the supers that weren't new to Forsaken are getting some updates, and then a couple are getting a nerf. But a lot of them are getting some damage increase for most supers, and then a reduction on Blade Barrage and Nova Warp. And then they've got a couple new tricks into some of the older subclass paths. So go check out the TWAB for some of the details on these changes. They're very some interesting stuff. I'm interested to see how some of my favorite old supers are going to play.
Yeah, there's definitely go look at them. Yeah, because they're specific like perk tuning and different trees, like you said, that really I think are going to make pretty substantial differences in all these buffs to these supers. So very cool.
What was your favorite new super, Anon? Did I hear you say something about Blade Barrage being your favorite?
Yeah, Blade Barrage is absolutely my favorite. So this like really bums me out. I would support it if they were like, we want to focus more on the knife explosion and less on the knife impact. That's just kind of like reworking how it operates. But just to nerf the damage is a bummer. Like nerf the impact damage, but increase the explosion radius. So maybe you can hit more. Something like that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been as much of a disappointment for me.
I think anytime something gets a nerf, it's a little bit of a bummer to somebody,
Yeah.
Even as a non-hunter, like I have a hunter, and Blade Barrage is definitely a ton of fun when I play on my hunter, so I get it. Next up, they mentioned some changes coming to the competitive playlist. Tell us about that a little bit, Arrow.
Yeah, this is kind of surprising. This is coming, well, tomorrow, as you're listening to this. It's coming January 15th. Just kind of quote them here. They will be adjusting matchmaking settings in competitive. Basically, we will be changing the matchmaking parameters so that opponents you find in competitive matchmaking will be closer to your glory rank. While the imbalanced match can still happen, we believe this change will reduce the number of occurrences dramatically. Of course, you may experience longer matchmaking times, but with that, you should hopefully be matched with opponents with a closer glory rank to yourself, which is fantastic. The community's been asking for this for some time now, so I'll be interested to see what this first little tweak, this iteration of that does. It'll be nice to see, if you're 2,000, to see more 2,000s in the room and not 5,000 maxed out legend 5,500. Sorry, Guardians. So
I guess as somebody that doesn't play a lot of comp, I get to hear a lot of conversations about this, but you play comp, so like, what is your general experience been lately, and like, how do you think that's going to improve?
Actually, I have just recently jumped back in. I've been grinding so much on my PvE to do checklist, like I breakneck and stuff like that I've kind of put comp off to last. But I did, just like in the last reset or two, jump in, and overall it hasn't been too bad. I've played a little solo and a couple play sessions with my fire team, and it's kind of one of those things where you're of course going to run into shotties and stuff like that, but you'll know. I mean, we don't go out and check their stats and stuff like that. So we're not 100% aware of the ranks we're going up against, but we know. If it's a stacked team, of course, we can see that in the menus, and we know usually by their loadouts and by how they're running the game. And overall, right now, it hasn't been too bad. Now, if you would have asked me last season after I hit Fabled, wow, it was like once you hit that Fabled marker, which maybe would be the case again this year or this season, and that's what people are talking about because I'm still below Fabled. So it's like once you hit a certain point, the sweatiness like cranks up like 10 notches.
So you'll end up like matched against people with a lot higher glory rank than yourself.
Yeah. And the other thing too is like I've ran with some 5,000 and above with a player like that in our fire team, and before you know it, you'll see everyone on the other team is 5,000, 5,500. And I'm hoping, I don't know how, a lot of people have asked for a system that like takes the total of your like the average of your team. Yeah, and then match makes you. So I don't know how like this tweak is going to play into something like that. I mean, maybe in a nutshell, it may be the same thing once it match makes to everyone. But if you're running with your fire team, how will it match make with this new tweak? But yeah, I don't know. Again, I'll report back after I play over the next week or two with this change, and maybe I'm expecting maybe to rank up another time or two. So we'll see if it also gets sweatier. Naturally, it should, but hopefully not quite as intense after this change as I rank up myself.
Promising an improvement, or at least hoping for one. So good luck.
Yeah, there's room for improvement in competitive for sure. I would be fine if they would also with this take out. I can't believe I'm blanking on the name of my favorite mode in competitive. What is the bomb?
Countdown survival.
Countdown. Yes, the bomb plants. If they would just remove that mode in competitive, I would be super thrilled.
Really?
But yes.
Why does
I'm not confusing myself right. Countdown is the bomb plant, right?
Yeah.
I'm totally blanking right now for some reason. I don't know what it is about that mode. I've talked about it on the show before. It just feels weird in competitive. I know survival can be rough, but with Countdown, it just seems like flip flop. Okay, you go quick plant now, flip flop. And I respect the dynamic there of trying to put an objective in there with a bomb plant to get people to go to a certain area and have an objective and do that sort of thing. But I don't know what it is about Countdown. Like we're never thrilled when that game mode comes up.
It's that the detonation never works.
Right.
Like the whole point of it doesn't actually go through. I think it was DMG. He posted a picture, 250 charges set, 5 detonations, like 50 detonations.
Yeah,
it is absurd.
It's rough.
Yeah, but I love my Slayer modes. I appreciate and am fine with trying to get some sort of objective game mode inside a comp. But Countdown, I love it. I would love it in like a quick play setting or something like that, or even like you die in the round and you're dead until the next round starts. Some sort of mode, but I don't know why. Just in competitive, it feels off. Feels off. Anyways, moving on. Sorry, we don't have to go on a competitive tangent here.
Speaking of competitive, Iron Banner returns next reset for the first one of 2019. He's got some armor and weapons as always. Looks like we'll have the sniper and a SMG up. Runs from the 15th through the 22nd. Next up over in Destiny player support, they're aware of intermittent guitar errors in the final encounters of the Last Wish raid. This has been ongoing for a while, especially a problem if you're trying to complete the Petra's Run Triumph. So they believe that this occurs after comprehensive investigation when players hit the limit on the number of server-controlled objects within a single area. Does that sound familiar? I feel like they've had this problem in other raids before. So this issue becomes worse during the final encounter in Last Wish, where objects are left over from the Riven fight. So that leads the server to crash and results in a guitar error. So they're working to identify that and testing solutions to resolve it. No strict timeline can be guaranteed, but they're intending to ship that in the update in March 2.2.0. It's kind of far off. I think the unfortunate part of that is if you're trying to complete that that objective or that triumph in time to get your title before the badges, the physical badges, you have, I think, until the 31st. Now they could always extend that, but I wouldn't want to have to wait until the 31st to get Riven's Bane if that was the last thing.
Yeah, right.
I know that there's definitely players who have completed it, but it's a little bit of the luck of the draw. And the worst part is it happens at the end of the raid. So if you've gotten a flawless raid all the way up to the walk, and then you get guitared, I would be disappointed.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So I hope that they solve it sooner than that, but I don't know. We'll find out. Besides that, a big one you should know about is the Obsidian Accelerator. So they've got it's an item that can drop from the new forge. And if you look at the item in your inventory, it has a use button. However, you don't want to use it. You want to turn it into ADA. So don't consume, because it won't do anything if you hit that use button. I think you'll lose it, actually. It's almost like dismantling it. So be sure to go turn that into ADA if you get one of those bad boys. I think what it does, it gives you the ability to put a buff on one of your forge weapons. Am I right on that, Anon?
Yeah, I think it's the Radiance, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Radiance
Yeah,
stuff.
you exchange it for
Obsidian
Radiance. Radiance gives you a 5% damage buff while you're in the forge.
Yeah. I feel like it should be more. I don't know. But I'll take 5%. And then they had movies of the week. Go check those out. And they did want to mention as well, like, because of all the stuff happening with Activision, everything currently on the development calendar is still going to happen. I guess they've brought that up a few times. They were like, everything that we have planned here is still going as planned. So no worries about the annual pass content that we've been promised. I guess the big question is, what are we going to see after that? That's the question.
That is the question.
Yep. And then we have the Last Word quest coming up here in just a couple of weeks to look forward to. Can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. But that did also kind of get data mined and leaked on Reddit, but we won't go into any of that.
Yeah, I heard about maybe the quest steps or something.
Yeah.
Got spoiled.
Gun information, yep, in the quest steps.
I'm going to pass on that.
I did look at it, but won't say a thing.
You would. You would. But I think that's all the major news this week. Anything else I'm missing here?
No, we got our news. We asked for it last week. We got it.
Yeah.
100%. I think it's time we ask Anon and maybe get into some lore. Anon, how was your reset?
Oh, my reset. It was good. I mean, I'm going for Chronicler, obviously, but that's completely time gated. But this is one of those weeks where you get another Truth to Power entry, and this was one of the big ones. Mm-hmm. This was Act, Choose, React, which is kind of like perfect timing after the hit of Bandersnatch.
Right.
On Netflix.
Very cool.
And I'm also going for Cursebreaker. And finally, the Corrupted showed up.
Finally.
And I got the pulse rifle on my first clear.
Oh, wow.
I did too. I was so excited. I couldn't believe I got it on the first run.
It was extra sweet for me because I ran with two of my clanmates who were also going for it and also need the pulse rifle. And one of them got 2 exotics while running the Nightfall.
Wow.
Lucky Raspberry and Stompies. He was not happy. And
Oh, man.
not only did I get the pulse rifle, but I got Glisten Vest.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Nice.
Using that RNG.
Yeah, that was my whole RNG for the week. I didn't get anything else.
Very nice.
Yeah, I think they changed the Nightfalls because at reset,
Oh, yeah.
they were listed as something else. And then
Yeah.
not long after, they were
Thank
all three of
God.
them were changed.
Yep. I did see that. Yes. What have you been up to, Cyborg?
Oh man, so I'm going with my luck is changing this week. I'm not 100% on that, but I did have some good drops. Not only did I just get that rocket launcher I've been after for a little while, but I also got Jotun to drop on my second frame
Oh, wow.
on the new forge.
Very
So I
nice.
felt pretty lucky there. I'm still trying to chase the ship and the Sparrow in the Dreaming City. Still don't have those guys. I've got some. I did all the missions, no dice on the Sparrow this week, but I've got to do some more Shattered Thrones, and I don't know. We'll see if I get lucky there, but I'm pretty happy about the drops that I did get, as well as getting that pulse rifle on my first Nightfall run. And so there were three of us, none of us had it, and two of us both got it the first run, and then the third of us got it on the second run. I was like, that was the easiest Nightfall grind ever. Like 2 runs
nice.
and we all got it. I think part of it
Bunch
was
really made up for it.
I think that buff is working as intended. If you get a higher score, you have a better chance of getting the loot. Because the first run we were like, well, let's get the high score knocked out. So we, made it kind of difficult. And so it paid off for us. So I'm continuing to try to grind and work on titles, but it's all on, RNG. So we'll just have to see if I get lucky. Wish me luck there. Besides that, doing all the Forge quests and all that stuff, I'm glad I'm finally done with Forge quests on at least one character. Now I'm trying to decide, am I going to do it on 2 more? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
And if you have Jotun, what's the point?
Yeah, now that I have them, and I went through the quest line for the sniper, it's like, I don't even know if I should.
Check
But
out
I
your
need,
gun.
I'm going to have to get the 100, the 100 items.
100 frames.
100
And
frames.
I guess that's not counting research frames, the blue ones, I guess.
Yeah, I read that there was a bug where for some people the research frames are not counting.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, so that can definitely make it take longer. I don't know, we'll have to see. But so I've got a lot of frames to go there.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, I might try to knock out the forges maybe on one other character just to get the armor and stuff, help level up a little faster. We'll see. But that's been my reset so far. What about you?
I'm still up almost 650. That was one of my main things this week. I think the same as 600. I'm down to just needing a helm. And I'll hit 650. Of course,
Nice.
I'm light on enhancement cores, so I'm gonna need a couple of those. I've used them all at this point. I stopped infusing a little while back and just left the gear on me, so it would, of course, give me the higher stuff. But that is super close. I did try out Berguzia Forge a couple times. I did not take my frames in there because I from what I've heard, Jotun is only dropping in there, correct? Is that right?
I've been hearing reports that it can drop elsewhere. But
Okay.
I don't know if that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard it, but I don't believe it.
Okay. I didn't know for sure. I had heard definitely in there, and I still want the bow, the exotic bow, so I took my frames. Because you can take any frame into Berguzia, is that right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you
I took mine where they said to take them because I'm trying to get the bow, like I said. But no bow. I've done 2 and nothing. I did grind a little bit for the Kindled Orchid, trying to get that kill clip rampage roll, but no dice on it just yet. Did play a little comp, like I mentioned. Slowly working on that Izanagi sniper quest. That is quite the quest, and I'm not sure once I get to a certain point I'm even going to be able to do it solo. I've heard it's pretty rough once you get to the Shattered Throne. You could figure out. I'm sure there's solo guides out there, but then
you're gonna want to do that
like
with
a
people.
6. Yeah, it's and then they throw you in the Pyramidion, right? That's like 640 or 650.
Yeah, with an extinguished
heavyweight
on it as well.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll see what happens when I get to that point. So I've just kind of been chugging away at stuff like that. I did slowly but surely turn in enough of the strike bounties to get that Nightshade from Zavala. So I've also been working on my what is it? The loaded question. I've worked on it a little bit, but Breakneck was like the primary thing I wanted to get. So now I'm kind of shifting back over to work on the loaded question. But the only strike bounties I would turn in are the ones you could do outside of strikes. So it literally took me this long to turn in 30 bounties to even working on loaded question a little bit there several resets ago. But I'm doing that classic multitasking thing. I've got the rare bounty from Ada that I know I'll need later.
Sit on that.
Yeah. So I am kind of like, you've got to do 3 strike completions on it. I'm putting my fusion on. I'm putting a black armory weapon on. I'm trying to do multiple things, complete multiple things at once. So that's what Destiny is these days, which is fun. You know, you got to go in with a plan. But other than that, you know, I've played like 1 or 2 play sessions this week. Like I said, I'm fighting off this massive sinus infection, so I've been sleeping way more than usual, but I'm looking forward to getting over it and diving back in. And
there's a lot to do. I feel like they always load a lot on full curse week. Like every full curse week, I feel like I have like 30 things I've got to do, and I'm constantly trying to juggle this and that and the other, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the other thing, the feedback that they've taken too, is that part of that Izanagi quest.
You have to Shattered Throne, which limits you when you can do
every 3 weeks. Yeah.
Especially because next full curse week is when the last word drops.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That stinks.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they have acknowledged that feedback. So I'm wondering if we won't see a tweak there. I don't know, how much that messes up the.
You know what they did is semi-related to time-gated events. They did actually say, though.
What's up?
On Reddit, someone asked if they could just leave the Taken IO blight for the Whisper of the Worm. And Cosmo replied saying how the Drifter was really interested in that blight, and he was getting close to a breakthrough.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
That's good.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, some people. I mean, I would love that because I need to go finish the catalyst for my Whisper. I never did.
So do I. I still need to do that too.
Never get around.
I need
to
one
it.
more clear. I'm just so lazy.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Well, there's so many other things to do. It's like you got to pick your battles, choose your battles. You know.
Yeah, if you had a slow week, definitely go do it. But
I still haven't even gone
meatball
hunting this week, and I just need one item, and I need one guardian to invade with their super so I can kill them, and I'll have dredging. We'll see if I can make the time. Getting close. Well, I know we wanted to talk a little bit with Anon while he was here about some of the lore and story and the implications from both Niobe Labs and some of the I guess what we could call the end of the Black Armory story that's been presented.
Yeah, this should have been the final piece.
Yeah, it makes sense at least. You'd think so. Yeah,
I guess if you you don't have to take a lot of your time, but to give them like a little bit of backstory on the Black Armory and then kind of what's happened this week with what we've seen. Spoiler alert, anyone, if you haven't finished the Izanagi quest, but he will probably discuss that.
Yeah, I would absolutely suggest collecting, even if you don't collect, read the Black Armory Papers lore book. You can find it on Ishtar really easily. You know, it's all right there. If you do want to farm it, you can lower your light level and just go AFK and go Fanon. Like lower it with
I followed your method. I did do that and let it run for a few hours, and I got all my papers. I was pretty happy.
Yeah, I still need to do that. Yep. Yeah, and you don't affect other Guardians because you're so low light, right? They're either doing the same thing or you get match made with no one. Yep.
Yeah. I've been in there with with myself, one other person, or 3 other people, and I kept an eye on it. Like, I didn't do it overnight. I just did it while I was doing other things at my desk, and I'd be like, yep, they're just standing there.
Yeah, I kind of watched for a little while when I first started, and I could tell other people were doing the same thing. So I was like, okay, I don't feel bad, you know?
And it's really cool because you actually get like a dialogue sequence when you go back to Ada after completing all of them. Because so if you get the last one, which I believe is 173, let me just double check. 170, 171. That is the last one that will drop for you. There is one more after that called Final Entry. To get Final Entry, you have to check off 170, 171.
Yeah.
So, essentially, in the Golden Age, there were people who did not believe the Traveler would be able to protect us from whatever is going to come. They had that like anxiety of this is too good. When's the other shoe going to drop? And Henriette Myron was the original founder of the Black Armory. She felt that they needed to create weapons to fight back the inevitable of what was going to happen, especially because she had kind of like inside information on people who were tracking the Traveler and other anomalies and such. And it's kind of like a government conspiracy theory. But in the Golden Age, before the collapse, they knew the darkness was coming. They just didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
So they were just kind of like up in the air about it. They're like, maybe it's another Traveler. You know, like it could be anything. It could be good. It could be bad. It could be nothing.
And they knew for a while too, because, you know, even with this thing being really far away, I mean, when you have something coming from outside your solar system, you got some time. I mean, it takes a while for interstellar travel. So they knew something kind of crazy was headed their way, but they didn't have any idea which, and it could have been years.
Yeah. Based on the Black Armory Papers, I think it actually was years.
Seems to be.
I swear they said years in one of them.
Yeah.
Where like it was like kind of the middle. It was like the Black Armory, this project we've been working on for years, is kind of like tossed that out. But so Henriette had a daughter, Adelaide, and she recruited Yuki Sato and Helga Rasmussen to work with her to create the weaponry. And then the collapse hit, and it was worse than they ever imagined it could be. They hid in the Black Armory. It almost actually seems like they hid in Niobe Labs. I would need to like really read through it again to make sure if that was the case or not.
Yeah, because they described it like banging on the door, you know, and some other things. Yeah.
Yeah. So some creatures, seemingly unlike anything we've ever seen before, came during the collapse. They would only come at night. It smelled like wet earth, you know, like this something we've never seen before, like a real like H.P. Lovecraft horror style of writing. And they tried to stay safe in the bunker. Eventually, people got hurt, including Henriette's daughter Adelaide. Helga died. Yuki convinces Henriette to upload Adelaide into an exo body. And Henriette is entirely against exos. It's like a racism thing. And so she was really not happy about it. But she went through with it, and Adelaide became Ada-1. And so after time, they had to leave the bunker, and it transitioned from what I would call the collapse to the Dark Age. Because very quickly after leaving the bunker, they found a person who had a little drone. And when the person died, the drone would revive them. They found a light bearer, a risen. I don't call it guardian because, that was kind of before guardian was a term. And this person that they find was not good at all. They saw what Adelaide could do. Adelaide, or Ada-1 could do. Ada-1 was Project Niobe, who was meant to be a walking, talking forge. She can improve the weapons that they've made. And when the Lightbearer sees that, they hunted the members of the Black Armory. The Black Armory papers is really dark. It really just shines the negative light on what Guardians were when they were first around. They had no moral structure. They had no one to guide them. They were just greedy, horrible people that hunted other people because they had something they wanted. Along the way, Yuki pretended to take the important thing, the Obsidian Accelerator, from Ada to kill the Guardian, in turn killing herself. But being a Guardian, it didn't really last for them. It continues on, them running, just trying to survive until it's only Henriette and Ada. And Henriette actually takes the Obsidian Accelerator and sends Ada off on her own. That's when we go to see Ada, she says how this weapon saw my founder's death and aided in its revenge. She used the Izanagi's burden to watch the Guardian kill her founder, and she killed the Guardian and its ghost in revenge.
Yeah, it's interesting as well in the story that we read how when was it Adelaide? Was that her name?
Yeah, Adelaide.
Yeah, her daughter is transferred to the exo frame. It's almost like a new person. She didn't retain memories, and she didn't really understand anything about the world or what was in it. So, they're running, and they've got this basically infant, person in a exo frame, saying what are those birds, and what is everything, and at the same time, it was not revealed to her that she was the daughter of Henrietta, and her mother as well was really reserved about how to treat her and if it was really her daughter, so there was this kind of tenuous relationship going on at the same time, and so kind of how that unfolds in the current time with Ada receiving all these papers, she actually finds out who she is and who Henrietta was, and that means a lot, to actually understand who she was and her importance and stuff.
Yeah, because when you get the last page, like you said, Anon, isn't that the cutscene that you get when she acknowledges that she realizes the founder of the Black Armory was her mother?
Yeah.
When you go back to her after completing the Black Armory papers, she's like, Henriette was my mother. I never knew. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
These DLCs were meant to be stories told supplementally through the lore books that would be delivered here. So if you take the lore book and the cutscenes together, you essentially have her past as an exo, not knowing who she was, and just a hatred of Guardians. We come to see her in the tower. She's like, "You're not welcome here. We're here to help." She's like, "All right, whatever." And then slowly we rebuild her trust by finding the forges. Then we go a step further by hunting down Civics, who is breaking into another Black Armory lab. And he stole the Black Armory papers. He ripped them up. He tossed them around, whatever. So we help her further. We gather the Black Armory papers and give them back to her, revealing her past to her, so like she knows who she truly is. And still, Civics is trying to steal all this Black Armory tech, so she sends us after him again in in the Niobe labs, and eventually through the Izanagi quest, where we finally, kill him. And it's just like, it's actually my favorite story. Comparing it to The Dark Below, House of Wolves, Rise of Iron, Curse of Osiris, Warmind.
Mm-hmm.
Black Armory's story is better, in my opinion. Like Taken King and Forsaken, those are monumental. They're very hard to beat. But for something that is essentially the $10 DLC, this has been the best yet.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you where you ranked it. That's very cool to know. It's cool, man. Like you and I have been talking back and forth in the DurFam Discord lore channel, and I mentioned last week to our listeners, I really dove into the Black Armory stuff in Cyborg, and I talked about it for a little while, and it was crazy because I reread and read them and watched some videos like 3 and 4 or 5 different times throughout a week or two, and was really getting knowledgeable and really enjoying it as far as the Black Armory lore. And then you threw me we started talking about some stuff, and you threw me the original cutscene that you get when you go see her, which of course I had already experienced weeks before. And it's like, it was a totally different cutscene. I was like, wow, wow. After having all that backstory, that initial cutscene is way more dramatic.
And that's what makes it like one of my favorite storylines, because like we have Taken King, we have like all these like, oh, some big bad is doing no good, we have to go stop them, and sure, in the Black Armor we had Civics, but I mean, Civics was barely a big bad. He was just kind of a nuisance that we just were like, okay, come on, seriously, stop it. All right, well, now we're just gonna kill you. Mm-hmm. Like he was not threatening the universe like Oryx was. He was not. Yeah, right. He was barely threatening the city. Like it was such a personal story of helping someone, and it was just so like intimate, and it was so dark, and it was so emotional. Like if you go and you read the Izanagi's lore tab, that's another one, because that's taking place like with Yuki when she's dying. Like it goes deeper than the Black Armory Papers does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool, man. Like,
I think what I like about the story is just it's small, but it allows it to be more intimate.
Oh yeah,
in terms of the characters involved, and it's not about, you're always trying to stop the bad guys, but it's not about saving the whole solar system. It's a thing that just could have happened and nobody ever would have been aware, right? And Ada's been around for, questionably
if
hundreds of years.
If we didn't meet Ada, someone else would have stopped Civics.
Yeah. Right.
But it wouldn't have meant anything. It would have just been like, oh, there's a fallen, what's all this stuff? I have no idea.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, it's all the way down to just the items in the game, right? Like I did not realize, which last name? Is it Helga that's Rasmussen? Who's Rasmussen?
Yeah, Helga. Okay. Helga Rasmussen.
Yeah, I have I wanted the Rasmussen sight on my pulse rifle, and I have a ghost projection that is Rasmussen projection. Yeah. It's all the way down to the little items in the game that they embed this stuff in, them as in Bungie. But it's cool, man. It's so neat. And then this week we learned, Cyborg and I talked about last week how 801 has this Obsidian Accelerator that allows her to be. Yeah. So if you want to explain that real quick before we move on, kind of what happened with that this week.
Yeah. So like I said, Henriette actually takes the Obsidian Accelerator when she leaves, and she eventually gives it to the Guardians. She gave it to them freely. When we get the Izanagi's burden, Ada gives us the mysterious data pad, and she asks us to go reclaim the last secret where we go into Niobe Labs. There's a very simple shooting puzzle, but once you do the shooting puzzle, Taken spawn, and they have a shield that only the Izanagi's burden with a 4x honed edge can break. And so you have to kill the Taken, and then you have to do all of the forges with full armor and full forge weapons over again. And then you get the Obsidian Accelerator. You go and you give it to Ada, and you see what is the final cutscene of the Black Armory, where she's come back to her full power. She puts it in the back of her head, and now she's all like radiating the sound wave looking stuff like throughout her whole body. So like we've just kind of made a single person's life that much more just on our own like that.
It's
like
cool.
A very personal impact.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then that's where the radiance comes in for the weapons, right? It has that kind of like pulsating look to it as well when you apply it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The waves of energy like over your gun, your Black Armory weapon.
In the Bergusia Forge, you can get Obsidian accelerators to drop. You bring it to her, you get Obsidian Radiance for your guns, and it gives you the little damage buff, but mostly it just makes it look cool.
Yeah. It's crazy when you talk it out like this, like we are, how much everything is intertwined. I mean, that's all thought up, implemented, and, if you end up experiencing some of it, all of it, it just enriches the game, right? The player experience.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's really great. That's why I'm always encouraging people to like go get all this stuff. I wish the Black Armory papers were less horribly tied to RNG and more like specifically tied to forging weapons. Like even if it was just each time you successfully forge a weapon or a radiant frame, you get one. That'd be so much better than RNG.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That piece of it definitely. You get a cutscene after you get all that from RNG, so there's definitely that piece. But at least you can go read that stuff, because I think I only have 2 pages at this point.
Yeah,
I've read it outside the game.
And you said this is gonna drop on Monday?
Yes.
I'm hoping that tomorrow, if you're listening to this on Monday, I'm hoping on the 15th that we get at least one. But I mean, I'd be so happy to see both of them start dropping. There are 2 more lore books on the way that should be dropping within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Nice. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's I'm excited about that. I always enjoy diving into the lore, and I try to make time for it outside of playing the game. But I definitely did with Black Armory, and I'm so glad I did, because it's been so fun to read it and then chat with you about it, and we kind of bounced ideas, and you tell me what you've already been thinking for a while, and it just got me kind of running with it too. So it's been a good time to jump back into the lore. So, but that's we're glad to have you on this week for that. What a good time to kind of wrap up, if you will, the Black Armory lore book, and let you come on and explain it a little bit more detailed than we might have. So
yeah. Sorry, I'm so exhausted. My bedtime was like 5 hours ago.
That's all right. We appreciate you coming on. We know you're an hour ahead of us. At least it's the weekend. Normally we record on Thursday, but we know it's super late for you, so we appreciate it. I'm sure our listeners appreciate it as well. We're hoping in this last episode, we think we might be motivate some Guardians to go dive into the lore if they haven't yet. So we talked about Black Armory lore for quite a little bit of time last week. So
yeah, here's hoping.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. So anyways, all right, well, with that, this week, guys, we knew we had a lot of news. We knew we were going to dive into the lore with Anon, so we decided to hold off on the discourse question we had. We're getting close to 2 hours already, so if you guys don't mind, we'll return with some Dirt Fam discourse next week. Like I said, we did have one we were sitting on. We actually want to do a little bit of research on it, the question that we got, so before we answer. Anyways, as usual, if you guys want to send anything our way, anything you're thinking about, want us to chat about, what's going on in the game, any shout outs, you can email us at destinyresetpodcast at gmail.com, or you can send us a speakpipe at speakpipe.com/destinyreset, where you leave us a little voicemail and we'll play it on the show. But other than that, that's kind of gonna wrap it up. We do have patron shout outs. We did have a new patron this week. We have a couple still pending out there. You guys got to check your Patreon messages if you don't mind. Check those. We definitely want to give you a shout out. We just don't want to shout out your real name. This week we got a shout out to Chester Levitz. Thank you so much for supporting us on Patreon. We very much appreciate it. So if you guys would like to become a Dirt Fam patron, all you got to do is go to patreon.com/destinyreset, and you can become a patron for as little as $1 a month. Rewards basically are a shout out on the show. You'll get your gamer tag posted on our website, and you'll get an invitation to our Dirt Fan patrons and supporters Discord channel. So we really appreciate all the support, guys. It's not something you have to do, but if you want to do it, again, very much appreciated. You can also go to our website, destinyresetpodcast.com, and donate any amount that you'd like through PayPal, if that's something you want to do and you don't want to do the whole monthly thing with Patreon. Any of that is very much appreciated, like I said. So we thank you guys very much. And the continued support means a lot. So with that, Anon, we want to thank you a bunch for coming on the show. I'm sure the listeners are excited. We've had requests to get more lore more often on the show. So thanks again. Where can they find you if they want to hear more of this stuff?
Well, thanks for having me. I was really excited to get the chance to come on.
Of course, yeah.
If they're looking for me, I am most easily found on Twitter at ANONPIG. If you are looking to start filling out your chronicler title or any of the lore triumphs, I have a pinned moment with tips, video guides, just tweets that explain what you need to do, because some are tied to triumphs. It's as simple as that. And if you want to check out Loose Cannon, it's at Loose Cannon Show. Cannon is spelled with CANON.
There you go. All right. I'm sure they see what you did there.
Yeah. It's like, I want to say, you see what I did there, but
yeah, it's like, I don't. Yeah, it's like they see, I'm sure. Very cool. Well, that's awesome. We hope to have you on again sometime. It's always fun and always relevant to talk about the lore in our favorite games. So, good times. Again, what a great time to have you on right now as we kind of wrap up the Black Armory story as we see it. So, very cool. Well, you can find me, as always, mainly on Twitter and YouTube at AER0KNIGHT with a 0. You can find me all the other social media places as well if you'd like. You can find Cyborg. I'm going to say this for him. He actually had to step away. And he misses you guys already, but I'm going to throw his plugs in here. You can find him on Twitter at CyborgSasquatch and Mixer at CyborgSasquatch. And he's also on another podcast with our buddy Blue, Splash Damage Radio. I believe it's Splash Damage Rad on Twitter. So go check that out too. You can find us at Destiny Reset on Twitter and at DestinyResetPodcast.com for all things Destiny Reset and the Dirt Fam. You can email us, of course, like we mentioned in the discourse, at DestinyResetPodcast@gmail.com. We're on Facebook, YouTube. You can find us on the Bungie.net group. Any of those things. If you'd like to join a clan, if you'd like to join the Discord, come hang out. We'd be glad to have you. So with that, we did have one new iTunes review this week. Juggernaut 83. Thank you so much. We busted 250. I think we're at 251 now. So, we're pretty excited about that. Awesome to hit that mark, over 250, iTunes reviews. Very cool. We appreciate the downloads, Guardians. Very much appreciate those. So anyways, again, Anon, thank you so much. We appreciate it. You're always welcome to come back on. We will probably, if you're cool with it, maybe try to have you on next time we got some lore wrapping up or something like that.
Yeah, of course.
If that sounds good. Well, we'll let you get some sleep since you're an hour ahead of us, and I think you told me you got a raid in the morning, don't you?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I can't do math. 7 hours.
You train your body, man. You can run off like 4, but you're gonna have to work your way up to that. It's okay. It's all right. Don't worry. If there was a yawn or two in the show, no one will mind. We understand. We recorded late.
I was very excited. I wasn't bored.
We have him up late, guys. We'll stop recording and go play for a couple more hours, but we don't get up early like you and Raid, I don't think, man. But anyways, thanks so much for joining us. We know our listeners enjoyed it. And as always, guys, until next reset, have fun playing Destiny 2, and take care, Guardians.